Thanks for joining us for this episode of Coffee with Closers, where business leaders share insights on how to build businesses from the ground up and best practices for innovating in their industry.
Hey Chris, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So for the audience that don't know about you, can you share a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, for sure. So Chris Vandermarel, I'm a career marketer, been a marketer for 10 years. That was my dream coming out of school, and I've really gotten into kind of a specialization. I'm doing right now product marketing, but I did demand gen at PathFactory for the last 3 years.
Awesome. What's the big difference between demand gen campaign versus like a product marketing?
Yeah, I mean, it's really different. It's not a very common move for people to make, but because our product helps demand gen marketers, I had been using it so much in my own demand gen, I became really passionate about the product, so I made the move. Product marketing is crazy. It's this big. There's so many different things you can be doing in product marketing. So it's everything from managing relationships with analysts, the go-to-market planning around launching products, it's content creation, it's a lot of different things. Demand gen, I mean, you're managing channels and trying to generate demand and leads, so it's pretty different.
And product marketing is probably a one leg of it, most likely is the adoption of the product as well, right?
Yeah.
Something to do with how do you current customers utilizing it and then providing them content to kind of help enable that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's the sky's the limit there, and you always feel like you can be doing more. But we really focus on some great content, and a really solid knowledge base, some awesome video content to support people adopting the software. One thing that I want to do a lot more of is use cases, so helping the people to actually understand all the different ways the product can be used, to really get them excited to use it. I mean, you can try to fool them into using it, but there's nothing like genuine excitement to actually use the product.
Most certainly. So you've been in the marketing space right out of college. You've been doing this for quite some time right now.
Yeah.
So what have you seen in terms of the shift from the time you started to where you are today?
Yeah, I started and marketing automation was in its infancy, and I really built my career on getting into digital, getting into marketing automation, becoming an expert in that space, and that really helped me a lot. So I was a big Marketo guy, got very much into that, but I've really branched out and now understand the space really, really well. And I've seen it go from, kind of a niche product that was just starting to grow. People kind of knew, I think we'll need marketing automation to replace our, old outdated email tool, but now it's really grown to become the thing that everybody needs, the must-have. You can't really do marketing without that core piece. And then to see that ecosystem grow and all the different spin-off products that are really, really helpful and important for companies using marketing automation is huge.
And what have you seen some of the most effective, especially from a demand gen standpoint, what have you seen some of the most effective strategies that worked well for, tech companies or any companies in trying to do demand gen? Yeah,
I think there's a whole bunch of things. I mean, ABM is the hot buzzword. It's really commonly misunderstood. People think they can go out and buy one piece of ABM technology, turn it on, and now they're doing ABM. That's not really how it works. It's a strategy. It's something that you have to get your organization to buy into. But I think that has proven that it can increase performance quite a lot. I think thinking about creating a lot of great content, really looking carefully at how that actually gets utilized is super important as well. I've been lucky that I've always had great content marketers that I've worked with when I'm in demand gen, and it's kind of that great yin and yang. A lot of times, one's more left brain, one's more right brain. You see that the demand gen tends to be more left brain and the content marketers are more right brain, and that's what you need in marketing. I mean, marketing's not really effective without left and right brain thinkers, so I've been really fortunate to have that as well. So I think great content marketing, ABM, and you can build an awesome brand.
And when you talk about demand gen, you're talking about the right brain, mostly the people that are creating the content and whatever that the assets that you're going to leverage as the content marketer to try to get as many eyeballs as possible, right?
Yeah.
What are some specific tactics that you need to keep in mind, both from the creating the content side as well as on the promotion of it, to get as many people to grab onto that and to become a contact?
I mean, compelling content is absolutely the starting point, and that's a soft skill. I mean, that's not something you can just say there's a tactic to creating great content. I think you want diverse styles. That's what I've learned for sure. So I think if you're thinking about an idea that you want to explore, make sure that you have video content, make sure that you have PDF content, make sure you have web page content, make sure that you get other people to pick this up and kind of aggregate that all into one piece. I think that's really, really important, as well as making it all really snackable. I think in the early days of marketing automation, like 10, 15 years ago, people were making these giant 100-page long ebooks and nobody was reading them. But now we've really learned that
Marketo was one of those, the definitive guide to.
And I think it established, just having that available, established them as the right player in the space, but I don't think people were actually sitting down and reading the thing. I mean, I bought Marketo right around the time they launched that guide. I printed it off. I had it that thick sitting on my desk. I read
10
pages. Like it was too much. Like they're getting ROI on the content piece existing, but they're not getting ROI on how long it is. It's just, it's too much. And so I've seen a movement towards more snackable content and allowing people to move through. I mean, they might only read a page or two of the PDF and they might be ready to move on to the video. So it's really important that I think you create diverse content types and you string them together and make it really easy to move from one to the next to the next. So that's on kind of the content creation and how the content's delivered side of things. And then, on the demand gen side, I was always big on making sure that I was effectively testing and using every channel available to me. So I wanted my website to have great traffic, all driven by SEO. I wanted to post ads on social as well as organic social, do display advertising, retargeting, have really, really smart email nurture with complex logic built up so that somebody was getting the right email at the right time. And so when I actually would kind of use all of those channels, bring it into a really smart destination where people could see all of the content together, I found all of that just came together really nicely and worked very well.
Yeah, so I mean, it's easy. What you described is exactly what you need to do. If you have a content team that's producing content, you have someone like you who's got the brain power to go test all these different channels and see what works and have the skill set to go build those advanced workflows inside marketing automation platforms. It's easy said than done, right? So someone who's getting started, let's say it's a tech company or some sort of an industry that's like a boring industry like manufacturing, where do they get started? It's the do you work on a top of funnel offer that's extremely focused on like a certain vertical and then just try to jump off there? What would you recommend as like a starting point?
Yeah, I mean, I had the fortunate luck to be mentored by a demand gen veteran, who spent a lot of time at Eloqua through their acquisition running their demand gen. So I learned a lot in that time, and she taught me a few different things. It's Elle Wolf for people wondering. She's pretty well known in the industry, and she taught me a few things. One of them is you always need to make sure that you're thinking about what's in it for me on the audience's side of things. Way too many companies take a company-centric approach. We're launching this, we're pushing this out to the marketplace, announcing our new this. Like, people don't care. That's not what they care about. But what they care about is what's in it for them. How are you going to make their life easier? How are you going to make their job easier? I mean, it's marketing 101. It's pretty straightforward stuff, yet we still fail to do it. So make sure you're always seeing it from the audience's perspective and make sure that you know what's in it for them. Now, you asked a little bit about like the technical setup side, the demand gen, marketing automation side of things. And a great thing that she taught me is to build the plane as you're flying it. So a lot of companies want to step back and be like, I can't do lead nurture until I have all my content built. It's all net new content. It has to be perfect. I need all my perfect emails, and one day I'll turn it on. And they've been saying that for like 3 or 4 years. Like, it's like, come on, you actually need to get this thing off the ground. And how you do it is you actually just start building things one at a time. So reuse your old content is first one thing. You don't always need brand new content for lead nurture. So do that. And then second of all, build it as you go. So you can build the first email and send it, and then build the second email and send it. You don't have to sit there building like 8 emails and then turning it on. And great marketing automation platforms will enable you to do that.
And so if you're getting started, especially if your demand gen is your primary focus, do you have, like, would you say like you need, like the salespeople want, ready to buy, like sales ready opportunities, and they don't want to talk to somebody who just downloaded an ebook. So where would you actually start? Top of funnel offers, middle of funnel, more of a bottom of funnel kind of offers? Yeah,
what we did, you'll always have a little bit more volume at the top of the funnel, and I think it depends on the stage of the company. If you're an earlier stage company, I think you need a lot of top of funnel just to generate awareness, help people to understand what you're even doing, and then you have to leave it up to the sales team at the bottom of the funnel. That's just the early stage playbook. But as you grow, I think it's important to make sure that you build out all sides of it. So in the early days, we pretty much just had a one-size-fits-all nurture that was pretty top of funnel, and then as we grew, we segmented it out so that different people were in different nurture programs depending on funnel stage. So I think, it's just a maturity thing, and you have to work your way up to get there.
So I'm hearing you say you have diversity of content, snackable, like videos, ebooks, all sorts of stuff. Are there anything that you've seen extremely effective in the recent days, especially with the PathFactory is actually a content delivery platform. What have you seen most effective in terms of content assets that work really well in terms of converting people?
Yeah, I mean, one advantage that we get because we use our own platform is that we can see exactly how long every individual person spends on every piece of content. So whether it's a video, whether it's a PDF, whether it's a web page, we always know exactly how long they're spending. So it's really quickly surfaced right in front of us. Like this one only got an average of 10 seconds of engagement. It's not really working. This one, people are spending 5 minutes on it on average. That's great. That's fantastic. So that really helps us to understand what works and what doesn't. At the bottom of the funnel, we see really great short snackable case studies working really well. We do that. They're 1 page long, really quickly cut to the chase, what they did, what the results are. We like to shoot video testimonials of those customers too. That stuff works really, really well at the bottom of the funnel. And then, top of funnel stuff, we'll write ebooks, but my mandate to all of our content creators is like, try and keep it like 4 or 5 pages. Like, let's not go above that if we can. But we make them on really interesting topics. Things that people care about, things that they're going to want to read about. So we do that. We publish a blog post a week. We can include that in Nurture as well. Lots of people forget about blog posts being a relevant call to action inside of Nurture. And then we like to shoot videos of our execs and different thought leaders in the space, and we use a lot of that at the top of the funnel too. That works pretty well.
And I know I'm not trying to promote PathFactory, but I do know personally, like I download a lot of resources, and most of the time I'm getting converted on like an Instagram ad or a LinkedIn ad, finding a top of funnel offer, and I convert, but I never read. And I think the biggest problem most marketers have is what happened after they download it, right? And I can't, I'm not sure if you can attest to this, but the lead nurture is becoming extremely hard, especially if you're a single channel nurture, meaning like if you're 100% relying on email alone as a nurture strategy, it's becoming less and less effective because it's not getting to people's inbox, right? And platforms like HubSpot is getting more smart that it's not even sending the second email because they haven't opened the first email, right? It stopped even sending email. So what tactics have really worked for you to see what happened after conversion if email isn't really sufficient way to measure the engagement of that prospect?
There's so much there. So there's a sales and marketing alignment issue. So how many times do you have the sales team knocking down your door saying like, what the hell? Why are you giving me this lead? Okay, they opened the last few emails, they clicked the last few emails, but like, what am I supposed to say to them? Did you like the thing that you read? Did you actually read it at all? It's not really a great way to align sales and marketing. So we solve that by allowing marketers to communicate back to the sales team how much time actually was spent on this content and qualify leads based on that. I think that helps a lot. That really kind of helps move things to the next level. I think also there's a big shift happening amongst B2B buyers. I think B2B buyers used to be buyers who would rely on the sales team a lot more. They were okay that they didn't know all the information up front. They would learn it as they go. That's not what's happening today. Today's B2B buyers have been completely consumerized. So they're used to Amazon, Netflix, YouTube, Spotify. I mean, I won't go into those analogies because they're like way overdone, but it's true. Like the people who have used those platforms are expecting that now in B2B. I mean, that's certainly going to help them buy, and it's going to differentiate the B2B marketers of the future. So I think the more that we can think about how can we make the way that we deliver our content more like those platforms, the more successful we'll be. Those people, when they spend time on those platforms, they can so easily move from one piece to the next, and they're smarter. They're smarter within 20, 30 minutes. They didn't have to wait till your next email. They don't have to wait weeks and weeks and weeks on end to become educated. They want to become educated in the matter of one afternoon and pretty much arrive at their decision, then talk to sales. So I think as marketers, we have to be taking that into account.
So that's where I think your technology is going to need to be a part of that equation, I'm assuming, right? So you can't really, just a sequence of emails that delivered over the course of 6 weeks is too long of a sales process almost.
Exactly.
Because if the prospect is ready to learn, you don't want to inhibit their willingness to spend the time to actually do that learning.
Exactly, and you build these sophisticated nurtures. Maybe it's 8 touches long, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 12. I think I've heard of companies doing like 20, 30 touches. It gets crazy. But if you actually run the math on it, like chances that somebody clicks on 1 or maybe 2 emails, like that's pretty much all you're going to get. You're unlikely to get them like continually clicking over and over, even if they're the best buyer out there, even if they're really deeply interested in what you're doing. Tuesday at 11 o'clock might not have been good for them. They might have been on vacation. They might have been in a meeting. Like, sorry, they're not clicking at that time. What you need to do is is really make sure that you're making the most out of every moment. When somebody clicks through, how can you make that the most significant interaction possible? That's what we should really be optimizing. Yet we spend probably too much time optimizing the email itself or optimizing our website when we really could be optimizing what happens when somebody accesses the content.
Makes sense. So like a platform like PathFactory, so basically the theory behind it is like you're gonna feed them the content while they're on the site with the right appropriate next content piece that they should be consuming.
Yeah, exactly. Move one to the next, really seamlessly, really easily.
Makes sense. So then you're going to present kind of the bottom of funnel offer once they've kind of shown the engagement metrics, right? Whatever the standard engagement metrics that you think they should be having, I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you use it toward that some sort of a scoring system or something?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, first of all, you can get a lot smarter and a lot more surgical about like where they go next, how they work their way down the funnel, moving one piece to the next to the next. As you see kind of what's happening, you can easily make the right adjustment and know when to take them down to the bottom of the funnel. So there's that side of it. Then there's the, like, did they really actually consume the content? How can we plug that back into a lead scoring model? So what's really great is, you know, a lot of platforms, they think that whatever they're doing should be the definitive source. And we really don't do that. We still allow marketers to do lead scoring just like they've always done in all of their native platforms, whether it's Marketo, HubSpot, Eloqua, Pardot, it doesn't matter. Still keep doing that. What we allow you to do is just plug in a brand new data set that really tells you was the content actually consumed or not. You know, it's really interesting. Marketing automation hasn't changed a lot in one way in the last 20 years, and that is the engagement metrics. They really only have 4 of them. You can actually count them up. It's email opens, it's email clicks, it's filling out a form and hitting a web page. They don't really have anything outside of that. Those are the behavioral metrics. They all have the same ones. It's amazing that in 20 years they haven't actually progressed beyond that. And those are actually really proxies for engagement. They're not true engagement in and of itself. They don't actually tell you whether the person actually, you know, liked what you did, whether they found it relevant, whether they found it helpful. They just tell you whether they tried to access it in the first place. And so I think moving beyond those to metrics that are much more granular, that actually explore, like, was this helpful, was this useful, is really the place that we need to go.
Makes sense. And I know there's a lot of talk about AI and machine learning and natural language, all sorts of stuff like that. Where do you see all these things actually enabling marketers to, you know, maybe 5 years down the road? What are some of the trends that you're expecting to see with all the changing technology?
So when we were talking about ebooks, that's the last ebook that we put out. And it's like a nice short 6-page ebook, so you don't have to spend too much time reading it, but we really unpack the best applications of AI and B2B marketing. I think there's a few good ones. I think one of them that's really good is, you know, all of the predictive companies. They were kind of on the front edge of this. So how, you know, if you're a decent sized company, you have maybe 500 customers, you can run that through their model. They can use AI to predict who your next customers will be. That's really useful. Now you know who to target, both in your sales and marketing efforts. So this has been going on for a long time, and I think that's a very, very smart application of AI in B2B marketing. But I think the caveat there is AI is only as good as the data that is input into it. So if you're a small company that's only closed 20 deals, it's not statistically significant enough for the AI to really actually be helpful and useful. And at that small early stage, you're probably like, maybe you're going to pivot, maybe you're going to change, maybe you've sold a few deals in one niche space, but there's a lot of other spaces to exploit, so it can be kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So that's predictive. I think that's you know, a pretty established thing for people to look at. I also think that there's really great applications for using the data around what people have consumed in the past to predict what they want to see next from a content perspective. You know, how much has Spotify's Discover Weekly revolutionized music? It really has changed it a lot. I think people have discovered new small artists at a way higher rate than they ever have before because of a platform like that. You see it on YouTube, you hit a video, you hit a next video, and now they're starting to profile you and really kind of like zone you in on the content that you're going to find helpful. Same with Netflix. And these companies have really built their business on this idea that they can predict the next thing that you want to see. But where is that in B2B? It's really kind of a niche thing that not many companies are exploiting yet. I mean, we brought on some data scientists to try to solve this exact problem, and it's really interesting to see what they've come up with, because they've borrowed a lot of those ideas from those consumer platforms to make the best possible recommendations about the thing the person should see next based on their past consumption.
I'm even curious to see what, you know, some of these software can probably even help create content pieces, right? Like consolidate, like you almost
Don't
said.
tell the content marketers that.
No, or even like, you know, or just make a recommendation on things based on where, I mean, I'm assuming that's some of what your product platform does is probably very close to that.
Yeah.
But I think it's just helping marketers do their job better, or even directing you to the metrics that you should be looking at, not just some vanity metrics like, oh yeah, I had this many clicks, but more granular stuff that we're overlooking today because we're not even thinking that far into to what's more effective.
Yeah, I'm pretty, and this is something that we're not doing yet today, but I'm actually pretty excited about the idea that there could be some dynamic reporting capabilities coming out of some of these platforms. Like, how many times is it like, oh, you got to log in, then you got to find the analytics, then you got to find your report, you got to tweak all the variables, and then you can get the answer to the thing you're wondering. That's kind of a backwards way to do reporting. It'd be a lot more useful if they emailed you a report that just said, hey, you should be paying attention to this. Look what changed this week. So like going back to Spotify, you know how you've probably seen this if you're a Spotify user, maybe you've heard of it, they send you like a report at the end of the year that's like, here's here's how much you listen to this artist, here's how much you listen to this genre, you know, your favorite track this year was this one, you listened to it 500 times, blah, 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 blah. Why can't B2B marketing's reporting be more like that?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited for some platforms to get
and
into
even
that.
I find the iPhone's weekly summary report that
Right.
shows me all the apps that I spend and makes me.
I mean, some of it's kind of depressing. But
Yeah, like, oh shoot, I spent 4 hours on YouTube this
yeah,
week.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
That's kind of bad. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think there's definitely some application of AI and machine learning and all that in those spaces.
Yeah.
Any advice for someone who's probably just getting started today? Trying to adapt. Like there's so many technology stacks that you can use. I mean, there's so many things you can do. Like, what advice do you have? Like someone who's just trying to implement a strong digital strategy in their marketing and demand gen.
Yeah, I think that it really depends on the size of the organization, but I imagine a lot of these people are in pretty small companies, and you have to start with kind of the core components. You need a decent CRM, you need a decent marketing automation platform, but go out, learn a lot, become certified, really make sure that you understand the ins and outs of platforms. I mean, it's easy to just see a whole bunch of attractive tech out there and just buy. Like, make sure that you're really kind of being deliberate and thoughtful about how things are going to help. You're not building redundancies. But yeah, I think CRM and marketing automation are great places to start. Come talk to us at PathFactory, talk to, a few other companies, and just kind of build it out slowly over time. And, talk to lots of people. I take a lot of young marketers out for coffee. We're based in Toronto. Pretty much it feels like every week or every other week I'm taking a young marketer out for coffee and just kind of showing them the ropes and helping them to understand what to do next. A lot of it's very business specific, but yeah, I think that's kind of how to think about it.
Yeah, well, appreciate you sitting down with me. A lot of great wisdom, and I hope you all the best.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
This episode of Coffee with Closers is brought to you by One IMS, a leading digital marketing agency helping businesses win new customers. To request a free marketing ROI audit, please visit oneims.com. If you enjoyed this video, please share it. To make sure you never miss an episode, please subscribe.